My boyfriend cheated on me, then told everyone it was my fault. My name is Claire Morrison. I'm 27, born in Colorado Springs, the kind of town where people wave at your mailbox before they wave at you. Everyone remembers everything here. And gossip spreads faster than wildfire on a windy night. I used to think being nice protected you from cruelty. Then I met Ryan Delony. He was 29, a fitness trainer who made everyone feel like they mattered. We met on a rooftop barbecue at my friend Lacey's apartment. His laugh was loud, his smile a little too confident. He handed me a drink and said, "You look like the kind of girl who apologizes when someone else bumps into you." I laughed. Flattered? Maybe. Warned? Definitely should have been. For 2 years, we dated. Summer hikes, weekend brunches, lady-night Netflix sleepovers, the kind of highlights people envy but never question. He moved into my tiny condo 6 months ago. That's when small cracks started whispering through the walls. It wasn't sudden. It was gradual. Like water dripping where you can't see. Longer gym sessions. Phone always face you down. New clients texting after midnight. When I asked about it, he sighed like a teacher disappointed in a slow student. "Claire, you're doing that anxious thing again. Trust me, okay?" And I did. I trusted him because love makes you want to be wrong. It's strange you beg for proof that your instincts are lying. Then came the first uncontrollable proof. One Tuesday night in October, my phone pinged. A coworker sent me a screenshot from an Instagram story. Ryan sitting across from a woman I didn't know. Candlelight glow. 2 wine glasses. Caption, "Celebrating something special." My chest tightened. Heart punching through ribs. I stared so long the photo started to blur. When he got home, I held out the phone. "What's this?" He squinted. Then rolled his eyes. "Seriously? That's just my team from the gym. We hit our quotas. Someone tagged the wrong picture. Babe, come on." His voice was calm. Too calm. When people lie well, calm becomes a weapon. That night, I couldn't sleep. The clock ticked too loud. He slept soundly, one arm across the blanket like nothing mattered. At 2:07 a.m., his phone lit up again. Preview line, Melissa. Can't believe she still hasn't found out. I felt my breath catch. I didn't open the phone, not yet. I took my own phone, snapped a quick photo of the screen. Proof. In pixels. I turned toward the ceiling and whispered, "Please, no." Because once you have proof, denial becomes work. In the morning, he hummed while making coffee. "Vanilla creamer, toast popping." "Normal." I asked softly, "Who's Melissa?" He froze for half a second, just long enough for me to see the panic flicker, then smiled. "She's one of my clients, babe. She just jokes around. You gotta stop overthinking everything." His voice turned sad, disappointed. "No wonder I feel like I walk on eggshells. You keep doubting me." And somehow I ended up apologizing. For doubting the man cheating on me. It's twisted how guilt can be gift-wrapped and handed right back to you. 3 days later, I found mascara smudges on one of our pillowcases. Not my brand. Not my color. When I asked again, he laughed. "You're seriously inspecting the bedding now? Claire, this is getting embarrassing." Embarrassing. That word stuck like a splinter in my throat. Because by then, he wasn't defending his innocence, he was defending his image. Still, I stayed silent. Maybe it would stop. Maybe he'd feel guilty. Maybe he'd remember who actually loved him. But liars don't stop because of guilt. They stop when there's no one left to believe them. 1 week later, I met Lacey for coffee. Her face was tight, eyes darting. Apparently, Ryan had told our mutual friends that I had emotionally cheated, said I flirted with a coworker, said he was trying to work through it. And people believed him. Because confidence sounds a lot like truth when you say it first. That day, I walked home under gray clouds that felt heavier than the sky. Inside the condo, Ryan was flicking through TV channels like nothing existed outside that couch. I stood there, coat half off, heart half broken. "People are asking weird questions about us," I said. He didn't look up. "Oh, like what?" "Like why you're still with me if I hurt you." He paused just long enough to turn to me with rehearsed sincerity. "Because I love you enough to forgive, Claire, but apparently, you don't love me enough to trust." It took me seconds to realize what he'd done. He'd flipped it. Now, he was the savior, and I was the villain who needed redemption. I remember the air leaving the room. How do you argue with someone rewriting the script while you're still reading the old one? That night, I opened my computer, scrolled through our texts, the miss you already, ones that overlapped with his lady-night gym check-ins. Each line was a breadcrumb I'd ignored. Each emoji a tiny funeral for common sense. I saved everything in a folder called Truth. Then I closed the laptop and looked at the man snoring beside me. I felt smaller than I ever had, but quieter too. The kind of quiet that means calculation, not defeat. Because the moment you realize someone's turning your story against you, you also realize silence can be louder than rage. 2 days later, Thanksgiving week started. Family calls, decorations, fake smiles. Ryan told people I wasn't feeling sociable. Meanwhile, his social media stayed bright selfies, gym sessions, captions about loyalty and healing. Subtle digs disguised as self-improvement quotes. I couldn't reply publicly without sounding crazy. And that was his power. His lies looked calmer than my truth ever could. So I waited. And then that morning happened, the note under my door, written by some anonymous messenger of his rumor. That's when I decided I was done playing defense. I sat on the bed, phone in hand, and whispered, "Round 2. I hit record, whispered every date, every name, every proof I had into the microphone. Maybe my voice shook. Maybe that's what honesty sounds like. Not dramatic, not polished, just raw. I didn't know what I'd do with it yet. But I knew one thing. Ryan wanted everyone to believe that I was cruel. So let him find out what kindness mixed with clarity feels like. Mini cliffhanger beat. Because the next thing he did the very next day made sure everyone in town would know his version of the story before I opened my mouth. And that's where everything really started to unravel. The next morning, the smallest thing felt wrong. The air was heavier. Messages buzzed non-stop. I checked my phone, 32 notifications. Ryan had posted on his Instagram story. Sometimes the kindest heart is also the most manipulative, healing one day at a time. Underneath, a black and white selfie of him, looking heartbroken. I froze. My brain barely processed it before 3 coworkers texted. "You okay? Claire, what happened with Ryan?" Saw his post. "Hope you're getting help." Help? I hadn't even said a single word publicly, and somehow I was already guilty. He didn't just cheat. He went on a sympathy tour. When I called him, he didn't answer. Instead, another story popped up, a vague photo of our hallway, half-packed suitcase in the corner. Caption: "When toxicity leaves your home, peace follows." My pulse throbbed in my neck. That was my suitcase. I took that photo weeks ago when I was traveling for work. He must have saved it to use later. I texted him, "Me, why are you posting lies?" Ryan, "Enough, Claire. This is why I can't talk to you. You twist everything." 3 dots blinked. Then another message popped. "Ryan, please, get help." It hit me, he wasn't talking to me. He was performing for anyone who might see screenshots later. I set the phone down and let silence spread. My hands shook, but my voice was steady when I said to myself, "Okay, you want an audience? Let's give you one." That afternoon at work, whispers followed me like shadows. Someone from HR asked if I needed a mental health break. Apparently, Ryan's posts had traveled a lot farther than I imagined. He had replies full of sympathy emojis. Comments like, "Stay strong, King," and "It takes courage to walk away from toxicity." Toxicity. I could almost hear him rehearsing it in his head. What word would sting me most and sound most virtuous to others? During my lunch break, I sat in the car, tears drying before they could fall. Then my phone buzzed again, notification from an unknown number. A screenshot. One of my texts to Ryan, cropped to look like I was begging him to forgive what I did. But he'd removed his line above it, where he said, "If you ever tell anyone about Melissa, I'll ruin you." I felt my chest cave in. I wasn't crazy. I was being cornered. People online always say, just ignore it. But ignoring a rumor doesn't make it die, it makes it grow legs. That night, I opened the folder named Truth, added his stories, comments, and timestamped everything. Then I wrote in a blank document, "He wants performance. I'll give him documentary." 2 days passed. Thanksgiving Day arrived, family time. I drove 2 hours to my sister Amy's house, pretending everything was fine. She caught me staring into my phone and asked, "Still that guy?" I nodded. Her jaw clenched. "You know you can stay here if you need to." We set the table, kids laughing in the other room. Then my niece found that note under my door, the one that said, "Everyone knows what you did." Someone must have slid it through the letterbox at night. I didn't need to guess who. I went pale. Amy read it over my shoulder. "He's harassing you." I shook my head. "He's winning." That was the moment I decided silence was no longer grace, it was permission. I said quietly, "I'm gonna make a recording tonight." Amy asked, "For what?" I said, "For the truth, when it finally needs a voice." After dinner, when everyone was asleep, I sat at the kitchen table with my laptop. I played one of his old voice notes, the one where he'd accidentally recorded himself bragging to someone. She believes everything. It's actually scary how easy it is. I closed my eyes and whispered, "Not anymore." Then I started speaking to the mic. First softly, then steadier. This is the timeline. Day 1, July 4th cookout, met Ryan. Day 15, he told me he was single when he wasn't. September, he moved in. October, first lie. November, public betrayal. It sounded like a confession and a court statement rolled into one. But it wasn't revenge, it was evidence. When the file ended, I sat staring at the waveform on screen. My heartbreak turned into data. I thought about posting right away. Then I thought about Melissa. What if she didn't even know she was part of this? The next morning, while pouring coffee, my phone lit up with a new message from an unknown contact. It said, "We should talk, I'm sorry." The sender's profile picture? Melissa. My breath caught. I almost dropped the mug. Was it another setup? I typed back a cautious, "About what?" She replied fast, "About him. Please." I didn't know. I stared at the screen. Heart in chaos. The last person I expected to message me was the woman who helped break my heart. But maybe she was also his victim. I agreed to meet her at a coffee shop that evening. Public place, people around, daylight still hanging on. She arrived 20 minutes late, looking exhausted, hair in a messy bun, hoodie too big, eyes red. Before I could speak, she blurted out, "I swear, he said you were gone. He made me feel sorry for him." Her voice cracked. When I realized the truth, he shouted that you'd ruin everything if I told. I believed her instantly. Because I recognized that same fear, she carried the fear of being painted crazy. She pulled out her phone and showed me messages, him juggling us like calendar events. Different days, same lies. Same promises, same nicknames. For the first time in weeks, I wasn't shaking. I was strangely calm. Not because it hurt less, but because the puzzle finally made sense. I asked, "Why are you telling me now?" She said, "Because he told everyone you were a cheater, and I can't stomach that anymore." Her courage became my clarity. Driving back home, twilight bleeding through the mountains, I kept hearing her words. I can't stomach that anymore. Neither could I. I knew what I had to do next. Not scream, not post angry captions, but use every fact I had, quietly, cleanly. The girl everyone pitied was about to reclaim her own story. As I pulled into the driveway, my phone rang again, this time, Ryan. I let it go to voicemail. He left a message in his best calm tone. "Hey Claire Bear, people are getting the wrong idea. Maybe don't talk to strangers about private stuff, okay? Strangers." He meant Melissa. He was already panicking, trying to control the narrative again. I just whispered, "Game over, Ryan." Because next time I'd speak, it wouldn't be to him. It would be to everyone he lied to. Mini cliffhanger beat. And what came out of that speaking changed everything. I met Melissa again 2 days later, same cafe, same corner table near the fogged-up window. She looked nervous, stirring her latte long after the foam had vanished. When she finally slid her phone across to me, she whispered, "You should see this." Screenshots. Videos. A voice memo, Ryan bragging to one of his gym friends. He said my name like a joke punchline. "She still thinks it's her fault, bro. If she knew half the stuff I've told people." Then, laughter. 2 different voices. My fingers clenched around the cup. That sound, that hollow laugh, felt louder inside my chest than in the cafe. Melissa looked scared. "I want to help fix it," she said. "But if he finds out I gave you these..." I interrupted softly. "Don't worry. He'll find out through everyone else." We spent the next hour building a timeline. Her messages from him overlapped perfectly with mine. Same dates, same working late excuses, same emojis typed minutes apart. A web. And suddenly, the whole thing looked mathematical. No emotion left, only patterns. "That's weirdly comforting," she said. "How?" I asked. "Because now it's not about us being stupid, it's about him being calculated." I nodded. It was the first time since everything blew up that I wasn't angry, I was analytical. Truth had switched on the scientist inside the survivor. We decided she'd go first. She had less to lose. Her social circle wasn't mixed with his. That evening, she posted one blurry voice memo. Turns out I wasn't the only one lied to. Nothing else, no names. But people knew. Comments exploded. "Wait, is this about Ryan?" Within an hour, the gym staff WhatsApp group leaked screenshots of that same voice note. Ryan texted me 5 times in a row. "Ryan, was this you?" "Ryan, stop spreading lies." "Ryan, you'll regret this." I didn't reply. At 11 p.m., his last message came through. "Ryan, don't forget who loved you when no one else will. Power doesn't fade quietly, it threatens on its way out." Next morning, the entire town buzzed. His coworkers confronted him. Someone recorded it, him denying, sweating, mumbling. People twist recordings these days. The audio posted on a local gossip blog before lunch. It spread faster than his lies ever did. Irony tastes like victory and exhaustion mixed together. By late afternoon, my phone was vibrating nonstop. Old friends who'd ghosted me weeks earlier texted little apologies. "Didn't know Claire, sorry for judging." Wow, he fooled all of us. Funny how apologies travel easier once the crowd changes direction. Still, part of me didn't want pity, I wanted understanding. There's a difference between sorry and solidarity. That night, I scrolled through Ryan's profile. He'd set it to private. Profile pic gone. But his bio still said, "Be kind, you never know the story." Maybe that was the truest thing he'd ever written, just not how he meant it. 2 days later, I got a message from an unknown number. Again? This time, it wasn't Melissa. It was Ryan's mother. She wrote, "Can we talk, please?" My thumb hovered over delete. But some part of me needed closure. So, I agreed. She met me at the same cafe, apparently. That's where all my plot twists lived now. She came in clutching her purse like it held secrets. Her voice was frail. "I always knew he had charm he didn't deserve," she said. "I'm sorry you had to pay for it." She looked embarrassed, like the sentence itself was heavy. Then she slid an envelope toward me, screenshots Ryan had sent her, trying to make her pity him. In one message, dated days before everything blew up, he bragged, "Doesn't matter what happens, people like a hero story. I'll make sure I'm the tragic one." Tragic. A tragic hero of his own soap opera. Maybe he rehearsed that line in the mirror, right after a workout. I thanked her. She said softly, "Don't let him decide what kind of woman you'll be after this." I smiled for real, maybe for the first time since it all began. That evening, I called Melissa. "I think we're done," I said. She exhaled into the phone. "You going to post that video you mentioned?" "Yes, but not for revenge. For record keeping." I opened my laptop, hit record again. Microphone green light glowing like a tiny witness. My voice was calm this time. No tears, no tremble. Just truth arranged in sequence. "Hi," I started. "I'm not naming names, I don't have to. If you've been following the rumors, you already know. I stayed quiet because I believed silence meant dignity. I learned silence looks like guilt when a liar has a microphone." I explained the timeline, the note, the screenshots. Then I ended with, "I don't need anyone to choose sides. I just need people to stop confusing calm manipulation with honesty." I hit upload, locked the screen, and left to clear my head. When I came back 2 hours later, the counter said 96K views. Comments flooded in. "We believed him, we shouldn't have." This gave me chills. "Thank you for showing what quiet strength looks like." My heart pounded, not fear, not pride, relief. Like someone finally exhaled the lie out of the air. But nothing online stays quiet. The next day, local channels picked it up. A segment titled, "Viral Video Exposes Relationship Lies." They blurred my face, but everyone in Colorado Springs knew that plant in my background. Ryan tried responding. A shaky IG live, him crying, stammering, saying he just wants peace. The comment section didn't buy it anymore. People wrote things like, "Gaslighting 101, hope you find real help." His power was dissolving not with noise, but with disbelief. Because once the truth lands, manipulation loses its echo chamber. That evening, my sister Amy called. "You won," she said. I answered, "I don't think this was a competition." She was quiet for a beat, then said, "Still feels good though, right?" It did. But more than victory, it felt like air returning after holding my breath too long. I went out on the porch, the dusk light cold on my skin. Inside, my phone vibrated again, Ryan's contact name flashing across. For a second, I thought, maybe he'll apologize. Maybe there's a decent sentence left inside him. I answered, silence on both ends. Then his voice, low and bitter. "You think they'll love you long for this? People forget, Claire. They always forget." I took a slow breath. "Then I guess I'll just keep reminding them." Click. I blocked his number. Deleted his photos, every file except one, the original note my niece found. A small reminder of how rumors begin, and sometimes how they end. Mini cliffhanger beat. Because even after exposing him, one more unexpected call would prove the story wasn't truly over yet. The morning after that last call, the world looked strangely brighter. Maybe it was just the snow reflecting on everything, or maybe truth has its own light once it's released. My phone wouldn't stop buzzing. Reporters. Random strangers with usernames like TruthSeeker89 asking for interviews. Podcasters wanting to amplify my story. People love justice as long as it fits in a trending thread. I didn't answer anyone. I'd spoken my piece. Now I wanted silence. Still, through the quiet hum of attention, part of me wondered what Ryan was doing. Had he packed up, left the gym, started over somewhere else under a new story? A liar doesn't vanish, he relocates the narrative. That thought both frightened and freed me. 3 days later, my video crossed 1 million views. That number was surreal, like watching strangers pick through pieces of my life. The comments began shifting from sympathy to analysis. People debated whether I handled it right. Some said I should have called him out by name. Others said I went too far already. Welcome to the internet, the jury that never goes home. Amy warned me, Don't read the comments. Of course I did. Some were tender, others clinical. Probably both toxic. Truth somewhere in the middle. Sounds scripted, no way this is real. And that hurt unexpectedly. After fighting so hard to reclaim my story, people still assumed it might be fiction. It's strange. The more honest you are online, the less believable it sounds. I took a walk to clear my head, boots crunching through snow. The cold bit into my cheeks, but it also reminded me I was alive, out here, real, in ways an algorithm couldn't measure. When I came back, an email waited in my inbox. Subject line: cease and desist notice. Sender: a corporate law firm I didn't recognize. For a second, my heart sank. Had Ryan actually hired lawyers? The letter claimed I'd defamed a private individual by providing insufficient contextual evidence. It demanded I take the video down or face legal measures. I exhaled slowly. Classic intimidation. But the funny part, he admitted being the private individual. His ego couldn't even hide in legal language. I forwarded the mail to my cousin Ethan, an attorney who owed me too many favors. He replied 10 minutes later. Looks like a bluff, template email. I've seen this guy's firm name before, total scare tactic. I smiled, tension loosening in my shoulders. The truth was heavier than fear now. I could carry it easily. Still, the incident showed me how far he'd go to rewrite the story again. And it made one thing clear: I wasn't finished yet. That evening, I did something I never thought I'd do. I reopened Instagram. Not for drama, not for another upload, but to check the messages I'd received since the video went viral. Dozens of women, some from Colorado, some from different states, wrote their own stories. Different names, same manipulations: charm, doubt, guilt, gaslight. It was like reading versions of myself on repeat. A few even mentioned Ryan. Apparently, he'd tried the same poor me approach with other people online, only under a new handle. The more I read, the more I realize this wasn't just my story anymore. So I drafted a new post, a calm follow-up. No names, no anger. People ask if I regret speaking. I don't. Because silence is the mold where abusers grow. And if my calm voice rattled one manipulator today, it was worth it. I almost didn't hit post. But when I did, relief flooded through my chest, warm as sunlight. 2 weeks passed. The chatter cooled down, eventually viral peaks always fade. My videos settled into quiet corners of the internet, occasionally resurfacing in reaction videos. Some TikTok commentator even dubbed my story the Whisper Rebellion. I went back to working remote, watering my neglected plants. Life started looking like itself again. Until one Friday morning, the doorbell rang. I opened it, expecting a delivery. There stood Ryan. Windblown hair, tired eyes, no smile this time. He wasn't holding flowers, he was holding an envelope. Before you slam the door, he said, voice almost steady, just listen. I didn't answer. He went on, I didn't send the letter. That was my uncle. Stupid move. I want this to stop. I crossed my arms. You started it. I didn't mean for it to go that far. Far? You dragged my name through town. He looked away. I thought if people hated you more, they'd leave me alone. There it was. The honesty I'd wanted, buried under cowardice. He offered the envelope. Here, screenshots, messages, just take them. Proof I lied. Maybe it helps you let it go. I took the envelope slowly, teeth clenched. He whispered, I'm sorry. It should have felt satisfying. But it didn't. It felt empty, like hearing an apology at the wrong frequency. Ryan, I said quietly, you don't need me to forgive you. You just need me to still be the story. And I won't give you that anymore. I closed the door. He didn't knock again. Footsteps crunched away, fading like an old refrain. Inside, I sat at the kitchen table, envelope unopened. Melissa texted the same moment. Is it over? I typed back, almost. Then I tore the envelope in half without reading it. The proof didn't matter anymore. The world had already seen the truth, in my steadiness, in my survival. That night, I made one last video, short, gentle, less about revenge, more about closure. When a lie breaks, it doesn't sound like glass. It sounds like a door closing quietly behind you. I'm walking through mine, finally. I uploaded it and closed the laptop for good. No tags, no explanations. Just peace. A month later, small normalities stitched my days together again. Groceries, morning jogs, coffee with Lacey. The kind of life I thought I'd lost to rumors. Sometimes strangers would recognize me in the grocery aisle, the tone always half you whisper. Hey, you're that girl from the story, right? I'd smile lightly and say, not anymore. Because I wasn't the victim of a rumor, I was the author of its end. Mini cliffhanger beat. Yet one final message from someone I never expected would show me how far truth can really travel. A week passed after that door closed behind Ryan. The snow melted, headlines shifted. And for the first time in months, my name wasn't echoing in anyone's sentence but my own. I deleted the folder marked truth. Drag. Drop. Recycle bin. Empty. It felt symbolic, a funeral for the chaos. Quiet and small. Work picked up again. My mind still jerked sometimes at sudden phone vibrations. Trauma doesn't leave. It just learns to whisper instead of scream. Then, one evening, while making tea, my phone buzzed with an unknown number. At that point, I didn't just press speaker. A voice I hadn't heard in years. Claire? This is Mason. You probably don't remember I went to college with Ryan. I almost hung up. He continued quickly. Don't worry. This isn't about him exactly. It's about something your video did. That caught my breath. He said, my sister watched it. She's been in the same kind of relationship gaslighting, the whole thing. She left him yesterday. She told me your words made her realize she wasn't crazy. I gripped the counter. The kettle whistled in the background. He added, voice low, so, thank you. You probably saved her a few more years of pain. Then the line clicked off before I could answer. I stood there, steam clouding around me, and finally understood justice wasn't the views, or the apology, or even people believing me. Justice was the echo. What the story did after it stopped being mine. Days turned into weeks. Life returned to everyday size, grocery carts, playlists, deadlines. But every now and then, someone new followed me and messaged a simple line. Thank you for posting that. It never felt like fame. It felt like community. Quiet people, connecting through truth spoken softly. I started sharing small entries again, not about betrayal, just lessons. Boundaries, trust, the art of leaving gracefully. No drama, just life. And every post ended the same way. Your piece is also someone else's permission to seek theirs. One rainy Saturday, I met Melissa for coffee for what we both knew would be the last time. She dyed her hair, moved to a new apartment, started a photography course. We laughed about how strangers with matching pain can feel like old friends. Before leaving, she said, we won, you know. I smiled. Not over him. She nodded. No, over silence. I walked home in drizzle, car lights reflecting on wet asphalt, the world looking newly washed. At a red light, I saw my own reflection in a shop window, no pity, no bitterness. Just me. I whispered, you're okay. And this time, I believed it. That night, I sat by the window with a blanket and tea, scrolling through the quiet hum of the world. The viral video now sat somewhere deep in the archives of the web, still being discovered by people I'd never meet. And I realized the digital never truly ends. It just ripples outward. Maybe that's what healing is. Not forgetting, not forgiving, but watching the ripples form their own peace. Somewhere beyond the screen, Ryan existed as another version of himself. Maybe remorseful, maybe rehearsing new lines for someone else. Either way, it was no longer my responsibility to monitor his sequel. A final message blinked in my inbox that night. From my niece, the same one who'd found that note months ago. She'd written, Aunt Claire, Mom told me what really happened. You're really strong. When people at school are mean, I tell them one day I'll tell my side too, like you did. I smiled so suddenly it hurt. That was it, the generational echo I didn't know I was planting. I typed back, always tell your story, honey. Gently, but truthfully. Then I locked my phone, let the rain soundtrack the silence, and leaned into it like a promise kept. Mini cliffhanger turned peaceful beat. Because sometimes the best revenge isn't loud. It's the calm sound of a life rebuilt. There's a strange sound after truth finally lands. Not applause, not thunder, just the quiet between two heartbeats that know they survived. That's where healing lives. So if you're listening and you've been blamed for someone else's betrayal, remember this. You don't have to scream to be believed. You just have to stay real long enough for the lie to run out of oxygen.